I was browsing through the godforsaken Bird app one day, and I saw this particular question. In modern times, would the North or South win a second American Civil War? The short answer is the North. But if you want to know why the North wins, then stick around for the long and probably boring to most explanation. If we look at this map, you can see that something's wrong. It's not the original boundaries. In this new Civil War, both SoCal and Southern Nevada have joined the CSA. But that won't be a problem for the North, and I'll explain why. Historically, Vegas, LA, and San Diego are northern-aligned cities with the ideas of the Democrats. Hell, even Phoenix can fit in this category, so territories like Southern California, Northern Arizona, and Southern Nevada would be easy to take, although Los Angeles can prove to be a bit of a pickle. And with that, the North now has access to the entire Pacific Fleet, and also 3 major air bases, Nellis, Luke, and Edwards, and throughout history it's been shown that air power wins wars, so even aircraft can turn the tide. But now let's get into probably the biggest problem for the North, Texas.
Woo!
Texas is the second largest state, both in landmass and population. It's known for having very patriotic people that will fight till the bitter end. Texas also houses one of the more densely populated areas of civilian militias in the country. Texas would be a slog to get through, but with naval bombardment from the Pacific Fleet, southern cities like Houston and Galveston would most likely be completely destroyed.
Dead!
And air power would heavily damage or even outright flatten cities like Dallas, San Antonio, and others. Texas would hold for a little bit, but even with Fort Polk support, one of the largest domestic military bases that the US has, which is in Louisiana, Texas would fall in around 2.5 years, if not earlier. Now, Florida is known for having very crazy people, but I don't think that would be a factor for the invasion. Florida is mostly made up of swampland, which, while hard for vehicles to get through, infantry can easily pass through. Florida is not that well defended, however, on the coast or the inland. And if I were to give a rough estimate, I would say Florida would fall in around 10 months to a year. Now, this whole explanation wasn't even taking nuclear weapons into account, but if they can be used, the North would still win. They have more of them. And also more people would die. Much like with Texas, Virginia can prove to be a tough nut to crack. It does have Naval Station Norfolk, which means the Confederates would have a navy, and most of the US carriers are in this base, so if given time to prepare, the Confederate Navy can be proved to be tough to bring down. Now, it is unknown what the Neo-South's reason is for breaking away, but let's just say their reason is unfair treatment from the government. Now, most NATO countries would immediately side with the US, but let's just say the North has Canada, the UK, France, Australia, Japan, and Germany backing it up, while the South has Italy, North Korea, Russia, and China siding with the South. Even if international intervention is given, it'll likely boil over into a world war, which, trust me, that isn't a good thing. Let's just say somehow, some way, the North gets pushed back. Now, major cities like Chicago, New York, Trenton, and Boston would be on the front lines, but they can prove to be hard to take. The North would win multiple sieges on one of these cities. Now let's move on to the final topic, civilians. It's certain that civilian militias would take part in many big battles, although the militaries would want them out. They would still clash with one another. It could prove also to be one of the more deadly categories in this war. Also, many African Americans in the Neo-South would not be happy, to say the least, with the new policies. So in conclusion, it's pretty safe to say that the North would win. The South are very patriotic people, but the North still has the technological, political, population, and military advantage. Even in this day and age, the North would still win the Civil War. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and as always, stay frosty.